All right, so we're ready to start talking about HTML and HTML files, okay? So HTML is hypertext markup language. It's a way of describing a document so that a web browser can read it and understand it and display it. And when you go to a website, this is written in HTML. And so when we have a HTML file, this represents one page on a website, okay? HTML files end in .html. Okay, this is the file extension after the dot, and that tells the computer, the web browser, how the file is written. So it says, okay, this file is written in HTML. So when we give this file to the browser to display, it's going to expect certain things from an HTML file. It's going to expect that the first meaningful line is this doc type. Okay. You'll never be expected to memorize the exact structure of an HTML file. You'll always be working from a like a template like this one. Okay, so this is just the demo that I'm going to give you to work with. HTML files are made out of tags. Okay, and we'll talk about tags a little bit in another video, but this is what a tag looks like. They start with this opening bracket. They have the tag name, and then they close here. Tags have an opening tag and a closing tag, and if you're in Glitch or a good text editor, it will show you where those are so that you can find the matches, and we'll talk about these in a later video. For now, you need to understand that in your HTML file, you're going to have your doc type, and then you're going to have your HTML element, okay? And the HTML element holds all the content from your page, okay? So we say that all of these things, the head, these meta tags are inside our HTML tag, okay? It's kind of like Russian dolls. They nest inside each other. Inside our HTML tag, we've got two important tags. We have a head tag, and the head contains information about the page, but it's important to understand that these things don't show up on the page. Okay, so I never want to like put a paragraph here. Okay, that's not going to show up on the page. It doesn't make sense to the web browser. What I do put here are things like the page title. That's information about the page. So if I write something here and I show this, this shows up now in my tab or in my browser bar, or wherever the title of the page shows up. There's some other things that we'll put in the head that we'll talk about later. The most important ones are title and description. So the description is a longer, a sentence or two about what the page is. And these are important because search engines will also read your page. Okay, so Google sends out little programs to read pages on the web, and then it needs to know what the pages are about. So it'll use these to some extent to decide what the page is about. So, if you are making a website for an art gallery in Austin, you definitely want to indicate here that it's an art gallery and that it's in Austin to get some of the keywords here. If you're interested in some of this stuff, this is related to SEO or search engine optimization. I've given you links here and here for how to write good title tags and good descriptions, so you can check those out. All right, so that's our head element. So again, we've got our HTML element, we've got our head element, and then we've got our body, okay? And all I did there was collapse the head element so that it doesn't take up a bunch of room. All right, the body element contains all of the information that's going to go on the page, okay? So if you want it to show up, if you want it to see it, it needs to go inside the body. So I can type an H1 here, and this is my page title, and that shows up on the page, okay? So really simple, that's what an HTML file is, that's how it needs to be formatted. You'll always start with this. The main thing to understand are the head is information about the page, but it does not show up on the page, okay? The body is everything that goes in the page, and then everything needs to be in an HTML tag. These lines right here that are grayed out are comments. So anything that starts with this caret exclamation dash dash and ends with dash dash close caret, the browser just ignores. So I just use these, we use these to write notes to ourselves. You'll see me doing that in other videos. The only thing that you need to know about them is they're completely ignored. They're just for you to keep track of things. And in this demo file that you'll have access to, I've used it to keep notes on what everything is. So you can learn from that as well.